The Amazing Race Season 36 is officially concluded, and it's now time for producer Charlie and I to review this season's finale. Very, very exciting stuff.
A very fast-paced, smushed together finale.
Still just 90 minutes, but 2 legs. Lots of content included in the whole thing. It was really, really wild stuff. So we start kind of part 2 in Dominican Republic. You've got 4 teams left. The first thing they do is they have the detour option of dive trip or rum sour. They pretty much all pick rum sour, which this was actually kind of fun. They basically had to make multiple like cocktails on the beach.
They had to make 6 different cocktails. They had to, but there was 8 in the book for the recipe card. So because I was thinking, I was like, I'll just make all of them and then go out. But then I didn't realize there were 2 extra ones they could make. And it's kind of crazy that nobody chose the dive one too. But I would have gone.
Yeah, but it was exciting. Everyone did this pretty easily. Then we go into the roadblock, which was who wants to take a stand. This was exciting. It was almost like they were doing windsurfing out in the water. And this is the thing that truly stumped Ricky and Cesar.
Finally.
Where everyone was like kind of passing them. They were really struggling, but of course they finally figured it out because they always do. But again, this was pretty fast paced. So then after this, they head to the pit stop. And we see some kind of fluctuation in placement for the first time in a long time this season. So first place was Rod and Letitia. Second was Juan and Shane. Third, Ricky and Cesar get to that pit stop before Amber and Vinny, and Amber and Vinny are kicked out right before the final leg. But then what's crazy is at the pit stop, Vinny gets down on one knee and proposes to Amber, and now they're engaged.
I rolled my eyes in the back of my head so hard.
Yeah, I will say I had the chance to interview all 4 teams, and their take on kind of their edit and their relationship was very interesting, so I would encourage you to watch that if you have the same opinions we do on them. So then the remaining 3 teams head to Philadelphia because they always end the season back in the States. So Philly is kind of like their last leg on the show.
Now, before we get to the first roadblock, let's just establish that Ricky's like, oh, I grew up in Southwest Philly. And then it's like,
I know.
Really?
I know, because the big thing all season has been they were in majority Spanish-speaking countries, and they had that kind of leg up. So, I don't know. It's again, they did address that when I interviewed them. And again, if you're curious on more on that from their standpoint, you should check out the interview.
Well, and then we get to the first roadblock, which is who's got team spirit.
Yeah.
And then Ricky's like, oh, I was a mascot back in high school.
Yeah, of course you were. So, but this was kind of a fun roadblock. It was like there was these kind of very like iconic Philly mascots, and they had to pick one and then kind of do, what was it they put on the...
You had to put on, you were a Amazing Race mascot, so you had like a big old globe as your head.
Yeah.
And then you had to do like 3 things, which were very quick. I was very surprised. Yeah. There was one where you had to like do the, I don't really know what it's called, but like, it's a football drill almost where you had like, like that. And then they had to jump through a big banner and then shoot a shotgun. Yeah,
so it's just like a series of obstacles, but very like kind of fun to watch, I guess, if you will. What's funny is kind of after this, they're given instructions to head to the next stop on this final leg. And Juan and Shane somehow end up in Jersey. Like they literally go to New Jersey, go to the complete wrong place.
When they asked for directions, they asked for Pat's Pizza, not Pat's Steak.
Yeah.
Which took them into Jersey, and I'm like, boys, you're my team I'm rooting for. What are you doing?
I know, it was a fatal mistake, which we'll get to. So the next kind of challenge they get to is they have to recite the preamble to the Declaration of Independence. Here is the thing. I think I would do so bad at this because my short-term memory is not good. So to remember that would be difficult. And what most teams do on challenges like this on The Amazing Race is they'll kind of split, you know, whatever it is in half. And so you remember one half and the second half and they do it. But honestly, besides maybe Rod and Letitia, most people got through this, like the other 2 teams got through this pretty quick.
Cesar struggled a little bit since English was his second language. But for the most part, Rod really struggled with his memory.
It was
tough. He was even like, you know, I've had a lot of concussions, which, you know, as a football player, that probably does
sports
mess
is getting
with your memory.
To him. Yeah, exactly. So then we get to the next roadblock of the finale, which was who wants to earn their stripes. Remind me how this one worked.
So this one, you were at the like Betsy Ross house, and you had to go around to 3 different presenters, and they were all telling a different part of the 13 colonies being established, and then you had to go back with these different pieces of information and put together the original American flag. But on the red and white stripes, you had to put the order of the colonies. And you had to make sure you had the right stars. Letitia really struggled with the stars part, though, but for the most part, most of them got through it pretty quickly. Yeah. Again, this was very this was like an American history heavy, like finale. I would say. Definitely say that the flag is where Rod and Letitia got stumped.
Yeah,
and they held them back.
Yeah, and it definitely held them back. And then the final thing they did before going to the pit stop to find out the winner was they had to put together this 3-dimensional Liberty Bell puzzle. And at this point, it was kind of just like who got there first because I mean, it really wasn't that complicated. So then the final placements of the season, when they race to the final pit stop in Philly, all teams are there with Phil. And first, no shot shocker who wins the season, Ricky and Cesar. But I will say they deserved it. Like, regardless of maybe some of the complications or kind of controversial things surrounded by them this season, they won 7 different legs before they got to the finale. They were such a strong team. They had such good communication. They were supportive.
And I loved that they said they were going to use the money for, starting a family adoption. Because adoption's not cheap. And that just was really cool.
And that's like, they're definitely going to use it to like better their future, which is really exciting. So second place was Juan and Shane, and then third place was Rod and Letitia, of course, just because they were so far behind. So overall, though, I would say this was a good season. Amazing Race will be back in a year. They're saying CBS has said it's not coming back till spring 2025.
I love Amazing Race. I wish they would do it like Survivor, where it's like spring and fall.
I will say, though, some final critiques of this season. I hear that next season we're going back to like where they will have to book their own travel through like the actual airport. So that will be fun to kind of add that like chaos back into the mix. Also, I hope that they really take a look at the whole 90-minute thing again, because I'm really not sure if it's necessary.
Well, it's like what I said, though. This was shot before they changed the format. So therefore, when they shot it and planned all these challenges and stuff, they probably didn't have that in mind. So I think going forward, we've only had one season so far that was shot for the new format. I think it'll be better going forward.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But The Amazing Race Season 36, that's all on Ozarks Live. We'll be right back.